Hello. Wait,
Hel-
let me just fix.
Hello, how's it going?
Doing fine. Just had a nice dinner.
Yeah, I was
Um.
about to ask about that. Was that like a team thing, was it, or?
Yeah, yeah. Because after one of my teammates had treated everybody to dinner in Taiwan.
Oh
So
yeah.
so it's my turn now here, back in the Philippines.
Oh, that's epic. Awesome.
What? Yeah.
Looks good.
Hi.
Fantastic. Are you ready to just crack straight into this then, yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. Welcome back to Going in Gaming, and welcome to the episode 21 of the Azalea Cult. And this is a special one because we've got Justin on the channel with us today, the first person to win a premier Flesh and Blood event with Azalea, with our Supreme Leader. How's it going, first of all?
Pretty great. I still get like I've been getting multiple episodes of like, was that real? Like I still can't believe it, honestly.
Just little flashes
I,
like, did this just happen? Did this happen to
yeah,
me? And I got that feeling
is
from
this real?
you as well. Like after the interview, you were just like, you were so, like, you came across so humbled and so like, has this really just happened to me? And I think that sort of hit home with a lot of us when, you know, for the people that were watching. So it was quite a profound moment, especially Azalea's story, Azalea's character, everything that she represents, not just the mechanics of the character, but everything else behind it is like the true underdog story. And I think you sort of alluded to coming from that sort of background as well. But yeah, how was the celebration dinner, first of all? Good fun? You just came back from it, right?
Yeah. We had some good Chinese food
Oh,
from
nice.
a restaurant that I like, that I've been eating at since I was little. So
Oh, so
good
nice little
food.
nostalgic moment for you as well then, going back to somewhere you've been before and all this.
Yeah.
Epic. So you there with your team, were you, or?
Yeah, with the team members that were available today. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay, so are you part of like a team then? How does that look like as a team? Are you like the Azalea main in your team, or do you sort of play other things as well?
Uh, um, I only picked up Azalea a little bit, like semi recently, I guess.
Nice.
Um, shout outs to Team Unbox, by the way. That's my team. Team
Team
Unbox.
Unbox.
We have a YouTube channel, actually.
Sick.
Unbox Flesh and Blood. We have some videos on it. We're planning on posting more.
Yeah, good.
Some tech, some gameplay. Yeah. Um. Yeah. So I currently the Azalea main.
Nice.
But for local events, I will like swap between Bravo, Azalea, try some random stuff that
Mm.
that I enjoy, like Kano. I like Kano, actually.
Yeah.
Kano, the the first CC deck I wanted to build was Kano, and
Right.
then after playing some games, it's kind of volatile, right? Like games just kind of
Yeah. Glass
end
cannon.
immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then but I enjoyed the mechanics, and when I picked up Azalea, the first thing I noticed was that it feels like every turn is doing the fun part of Kano.
Yeah. Yeah. What sort of
Yeah,
top
whereas,
deck manipulation style stuff?
yeah, stuff
Yeah.
like that, or like looking at possible lines, like if the top card of my deck is this, then I do this. If
Yeah.
it's this, then I have to do something different. So with Kano, typically when you're doing that, the game's gonna be over that turn,
That's right.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're doing
but with Azalea,
all
you
the
get
stuff to explode on that
yeah.
turn. Yeah.
Yeah, and with Azalea, it's so fun because you do that every turn. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just so fun. Yeah,
It is, yeah, and I know exactly what you're talking about at the top of the deck, because with Azalea's ability, that card on the top of your deck can essentially be played that turn if you can then use the
yeah,
Azalea ability. So you can turn your arsenal into the top of your deck and then play as a result from there, and that is a nice little thing that Azalea can do. Yeah, we'll get into all of that later with regards to Azalea as mechanics and all this, but the origins of the, just so you're aware, the origins of the Azalea cult and the Azalea cult hashtag and all of this. I'm not sure whether you're
uh,
aware of all of this before you picked up the character.
I've heard about the cult. I've
Yeah,
heard
yeah.
about the cult of
There
Yeah.
we go. So even the top players have heard about the cult, despite the cult's meanings in life and all this. But really, the cult is like an appreciation thing of the character, right? We just love the character and love what she represents. That's what we do, and we've wanted to shine a light on her, no matter how good she is in the meta or whatever. And we got a few questions that I think we could open up with from a few members of the Azalea cult community, if you don't mind answering those. Is that all right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant. So the first one comes
Sounds good.
from Sebastian from the Netherlands, I believe, or somewhere around that sort of region. And he says, well, the obvious ones first, I guess. How does it feel to be a first to win a major event with the best hero, Azalea? I think we kind of covered it, but if you want to address that to Sebastian, that would be great. How does it feel to win a major event, first of all?
So just winning an event, that was something I realized like a bit after, actually.
Yeah,
The fact that I was the first major event with Azalea.
that's right.
So so initially it was just the fact that I won,
Mm.
and then like after that, like
Yeah.
it dawned on me, I'm the first guy to win event this big with Azalea. I am responsible for like what, like 80% of her points,
I think so.
right?
Yeah, I
Something
think she
like
was.
that.
I think she was
Something like
on.
that. Yeah.
She was on like
20.
30 odd. Yeah, 20 to 30 odd points. Like,
Yeah.
and that came from like ProQuest season, I think, after Outsiders
Yeah.
mainly.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That it just made it even more unbelievable, I guess.
yeah.
Like, yeah, I never would have thought that I could have done something like that.
Mm.
I still don't believe it now.
Yeah, well, you've got the trophy to prove it now, mate. So that's amazing. So well done for that. So yeah, and as you say, it is the first major event. We've seen a lot of ProQuest wins as a result of Outsiders and all the buffs that she got there. But yeah, this is the first major one, which we'll touch on again in a bit with the Calling Taipei that was. And Sebastian also goes on to ask, I understood you started playing not so long ago, a few months, I believe, and he only played Azalea. What made you pick our supreme leader? And of course, a very good choice. What made you pick Azalea? Sebastian's asking.
Oh, actually, okay. So, I think I either misspoke or I didn't get to mention in I think when I talked to some people. So
Mm-hmm.
I've not only played Azalea. I
Nice.
only picked up Azalea in CC a bit recently, like
Mm-hmm.
maybe like 2 months ago. If you
Yeah.
look in the Azalea Discord, you will see when I start asking Levi for tips, and that's
Oh
when I
yeah,
started playing
Levi, the
Azalea.
absolute guru of Azalea. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
he's been on
He's
here
been
as
so
well. But yeah,
so
lovely guy.
helpful.
Shout out to
Yeah.
him.
So started in like April. Started playing with precons in May, and then
Mm.
one of the precons that I really enjoyed was Azalea.
Yep.
So I wanted to play Azalea because the precon was really fun. But it was RTN season already, and at that point I hadn't even played a game of CC,
All right.
and I had to make a deck for RTN season. And looking at the prices of decks, Azalea was a bit expensive because of Tunic, the
Skullbone.
codices, yeah, Skullbone, and
Mm.
that.
Mm.
So I went with Bravo instead because Bravo was really cheap to build,
Yep.
right? Because you cut the CNCs and then you cut Crown, and
Mhm.
then the deck is really cheap. So I started playing Bravo, and then I played Bravo for a really long time because there was never really any chance for me to stop and then to try and learn something new, because there was always like an event with like some stakes. So like
Yes.
a private tournament with good pricing, or yeah, an RTN or nationals or skirmish season, something like that. So there's always something coming up. Then finally after national season, there was a good amount of space. I immediately picked up Azalea, and
Mm.
basically that time was like me just playing the decks that I wanted to play that I never got to play because I was too busy practicing and trying to do well with Bravo, which I
Yeah.
do enjoy. Bravo, I made the deck first because it was cheap, but I I really enjoyed Bravo and the playstyle. And now I'm having fun with Azalea, and Azalea is like like bigger Bravo. You block worse, but you hurt a lot more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was going to say as well. I also like Bravo because he has the dominate stuff and he has the big
Yeah.
crippling on hits, which then
Yeah.
stifle your
Yeah.
opponent's turn. Right? We all love those turns which say if this hits, I take an extra turn after you. That's basically
Yes.
that's
The
basically
time
what it is.
walks.
The time walks,
Yes.
absolutely. And I feel like Bravo and Azalea do have those comparisons, so I definitely agree with you there for sure. But yeah, and also with regards to you said about the top deck manipulation as well, that's probably also something you obviously you mentioned with Kano, another thing that made
Yeah.
you look at Azalea as well. So that's cool. But we touched on that earlier. So going on from that, Matagon in the Azalea Cult Discord asks, what background in card games did you have before you started playing Flesh and Blood, if any? So were you playing anything
Oh,
else?
oh, okay. I love this question.
Yeah.
So, as with a lot of people, started in Magic the Gathering.
Yep.
I started in high school. It was Innistrad Dark Ascension.
Oh yeah.
I never really, yeah, I never really played. I played at one FNM with like a meme deck. Never really like thought of joining anything else. Just played with friends.
Hmm.
Not even any format. Just kitchen table Magic.
Yeah.
I did enjoy dra- I did enjoy drafting on Magic Arena and Cube. The only remnant I have my Magic collection, most of it has been sold or dismantled.
Yeah.
But the what's still intact is I own two cubes, which I play with some friends every now and then.
Nice.
I love the limited format. So Magic, and then played a bit of Hearthstone when it was popular.
Hmm.
What else? I think my favorite card game that did not get that popular was Gwent.
Oh yeah.
I really enjoyed Gwent. Closed beta Gwent before Homecoming was amazing. I think anybody that played during that era knows what I'm talking about. It felt a lot like Flesh and Blood, where like when you win or you lose, when you win, you feel great because like you really feel like you outplayed your opponent,
Yeah.
and when you lose, you can really see the mistake you made.
Okay.
Like it was like the first card game where it really felt like you were in control and you don't just blame you don't just blame variance.
Hmm.
Yeah, Gwen was really good. And then I guess I played a little of everything. Legends of Runeterra. I didn't really play any other TCG. I think so. Not Yu-Gi-Oh. None of the anime ones.
No.
So yeah, I stopped playing I stopped playing Magic a while ago. Just played some of the CCGs. Um, until recently, a friend got me back into card games by playing the One Piece card game.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
One Piece CCG. So I had fun with that for a while. Then I found Flesh and Blood, and then I just found that so much funner than One Piece. So now I'm on Flesh and Blood.
Nice. And do you think having all of those experiences with other games helped you with Flesh and Blood? Because a lot of people,
Oh yeah,
a lot of people say that Flesh and Blood system is probably the most consistent because of all the modes that your cards have and everything that you can do with your cards. So in comparison to other games, do you think playing those other games have helped with the Flesh and Blood performance? Do you think?
yeah, definitely.
Mm.
Even if the mechanics are different,
Mm.
a lot of the thought process do transfer. Like knowing when you should play around things,
Yeah.
how to play around things, playing to your outs, stuff
Hmm.
like that. Tracking resources. So like in Flesh and Blood, when you count how many they have left of a certain card, stuff like that. So it definitely does help. It definitely does help, even though the mechanics themselves are very different from other card games.
Nice. And we'll speak about playing around things in a minute because there's a big thing that Azalea players do have to play around, and we'll get to that in a moment. So speaking of the Azalea that you took to Taipei, was it a decision that you made because you had experience on the hero, or was it a meta call going into Taipei? What was the sort of decision process for picking Azalea for that tournament?
Yeah. So I started playing as I when I was playing Azalea, I played it a lot more because it was fun.
Yeah.
But then after a while, I kind of realized that it's just a very good deck.
Hmm.
It's statistically favored into if you play correctly, you're statistically favored into everything except Bravo.
Yeah.
And there aren't many Bravos because they died to Lexi.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I thought that it's very good for this meta. I was actually very surprised for how few as I was really really surprised about um the fact that there were no Azaleas, right? There's not nobody's playing the deck given how good it is, right?
Yeah.
So I was wondering, there's a I probably asked it in the Discord, like, why do you guys think nobody plays this hero when it's pretty good, right? Yeah. So like, is it because it's hard? Is it because the main answer, I guess, is the main answer was that like nobody's won with it, so nobody plays it, so nobody wins with it, so nobody plays it.
Conversion to actual
Yeah,
results. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, probably, yeah. But like on paper, like really, you are statistically favored into everything. Like there's a draw my matchup, which is hard, like very hard to play. But
Yeah.
if you do play it correctly, I believe you are favored. A lot of people don't think so, but the really good Azaleas I've talked to about that do think it's like even or favored, but it's definitely not draw my favorite.
Yeah.
If the Azalea is playing very tight, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, with that, it just seemed like a good choice. I was getting cold feet the days before the tournament because I wasn't doing very well with Azalea. I didn't play for about like 2 or 3 weeks, so I was pretty rusty. And as you know, with Azalea, like there's so many, like it's a very hard character to pilot. So I played at some locals, made some mistakes,
Hmm.
lost some. Yeah, like I didn't win the armories that I joined. So with Azalea, so I didn't really feel that hot on the deck. But yeah, I just remember that like so I was thinking of falling back to Bravo because
Yeah.
Bravo is easier to play. I've played it for a long time, and I think I could have like I think I could have gotten a stable result with Bravo. But then I just got reminded that like I'm probably not gonna beat really good Lexis with Bravo. It's like way too hard,
Yeah.
and it's like if I play Bravo, it's kind of like just playing not to lose.
Rather
But
than
if
to
I
win.
bring
Yeah.
Azalea, yeah, rather than to win.
Mm.
So I end up bringing Azalea because like I feel that the only way I'm gonna win, or well, in my idea, the only way I'm gonna top eight, that was my goal at the time,
Mm.
was if I bring Azalea and I tighten up, which yeah, I end up doing.
So what do you think? So what do you think Azalea has that Bravo doesn't have? Then
A good Lexi matchup.
a good Lexi matchup. Nice. Okay. So
Yes.
for people that aren't Bravo aficionados, or for instance, I'm not one of them. I do enjoy the character, but I wouldn't know all the ins and
Mhm.
outs. Why does Bravo, or why do you feel Bravo fails against Lexi and Azalea doesn't?
Because it's really hard to race Lexi as Bravo because their numbers are just better. You can't disrupt if you take some damage to try and disrupt them where it isn't a time walk. For example, you just try and raw CNC them or you raw spinal them.
Yeah.
They could just have three of a kind, and then the damage you took just doesn't matter. So you really get punished for trying to do the middle disruptions, and so you end up having to, if you do want to disrupt them, it has to be the full time walks. You
Yeah.
have to take the damage to do the full cripplings, the full starstrucks, or the dominated spinals, or the CNC pummels, or else it could just not matter and you just take so much damage for no reason. That end, if you do, so you can't raise them. If you do try to fatigue them, but the Lexi knows how to properly pitch stack the deck, or they just fat deck and bring remembrance, they will end up fatiguing you.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Cool. So yeah, that's the reason why you take Azalea to Taipei then. So cheers for
Yeah.
that. Awesome. But what I was alluding to earlier with regards to playing around things, a lot of people complained, still do complain about one card, and you're already nodding. I'm assuming you already know what this is, and you played it masterfully on the stream in the final, which we'll get to in a bit. But War Monger's Diplomacy is the main card that people think, how do you do this? How do you prep for this? Do you play it as though they have it? What do you do? Do you Arsenal or non-attack? All of this. So I had an experience in the calling in the UK when I was hit twice in a row with this, and it was just absolutely, yeah. Pray for me. But that's the thing, right? If you haven't seen the Warmongers diplomacy yet, and you think that they have it, like, for instance, if I hit someone with a ponder, the ponder, you don't know what card that's going to be, so you have to put that into your arsenal at the end no matter what. So the play that you had, I think you had a Rain Razors in your arsenal. So do you just try and protect your arsenal from getting clogged up until you see the Warmongers, or how do you play against it? Because it is, if it just hits you at the right time, you just die. You just take loads of
Yes.
you just take loads of turns
Yeah.
off, and there's nothing you can really do. But until you see it, is there any way you can really prep against it? What's your sort of response to that?
I'd say against decks that are running copies of it, so
Yeah.
like ninjas, or if you see the deck list, like I saw in the finals against Nick on Dromai, I saw that he had those.
Yeah.
If you do know, you wanna lean toward arsenaling go again attacks, and um it lets you be fine with arsenaling arrows. So
Especially
because
if you got
if you have
snappies.
Snapdragon,
Yeah, yeah.
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 Yeah. So if you I'm not sure if you can see my hands in the finals, but I think for like 3 or 4 turns, I Arsenal to not get warmongered. There was a turn where
Yeah.
I basically gave up a point. I had an E strike in hand and a ponder,
Mm.
and I was okay with that because it meant I could Arsenal the E strike instead of a blind thing.
Yeah.
Right. So I gave up a point just to play around it, because it's okay to lose like a little value just so you don't lose your whole turn.
Yes.
Right. And then
That's what
you wait until, yeah.
that's what a lot of
You can,
casual players don't understand,
yeah.
is that side of it, like when to act on those moments, really. So yeah, sorry, carry
Yeah.
on. I interrupted you there.
Yeah. It's fine. So it's okay to lose a little bit of value now and then. Sometimes you just gotta make them have it, right?
Yeah,
Let's say if it's like a raw ponder and you draw a buff, like
that's it.
it's really there's no way you're not arsenaling that, right? There's just no way.
Yeah.
Because you do have some outs into your deck to still play even with a clogged arsenal, right? You have your E strikes, your CNCs, your rabbles.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, you want to keep track of, has it come up yet? Have they pitched any? Have they blocked with any? Right? Um, and if not, then I'd say, yeah, you want, if you can without losing too much value, you want to arsenal to protect yourself against warmongers.
Yeah.
The other thing too is I've had games where I got warmongered and full time walked and you still win.
Yeah. Okay.
because because the deck just outputs so many points, right?
When you
When
say
you dominate.
when you say
Mhm.
points, what do you mean by that? Points.
So raw value. So like
Yeah.
damage is a point, a block is a point,
Mhm.
a blood rot is like 2 points, stuff
Yeah.
like that. So
Okay.
because of Death Dealer, really, Death Dealer is sort of what makes Azalea work. You're an Intellect 5 hero, and the busted ponder cards from Outsiders turn you into an Intellect 6 hero
Yeah.
when you draw them. So you're Intellect 5 all the time, and then when you draw those, you're Intellect 6. So your average output is just way above any deck, probably, except maybe when you don't block Katsu or something,
Yeah.
something like that. Maybe that beats us, but just with interactive points, basically, like yeah, you're probably the highest rate because of just Death Dealer and your on hits.
Yeah.
You just have so much raw points that, like, even if they do time walk you once, if your turns that game were reasonably good already, like um let's say you time walk them with a dominated red with Seek, and then they warmongers you, that doesn't put them ahead. It just evened out the game,
Yeah. You're still ahead.
right?
You're still. Yeah. You
Yeah,
still.
you're
Yeah.
yeah yeah, and even if, like, let's say that still does full time walk you, your Death Dealer, it just kicks in. Like, the Death Dealer is so powerful. The Intellect 5, yeah, again, you just have so much more raw points than every deck. Than every deck. That's how you're able to keep up with Dromai, actually. That's the only reason you're alive into Dromai. It's because of Death Dealer.
Yeah, and that's that I exactly feel that way as well, because I feel like once you start snowballing with Azalea, you just absolutely rip people apart. Especially if
Yeah.
they're relying on action points, you're just rinsing them at that point.
Yeah.
Because Azalea into a lot of aggro decks, Red in the Ledger. I've seen Brody's list as well. Brody Spurlock's list was actually running
Yeah.
Memorial Grounds, so that just
Yes, you just jam reds. Yeah.
yeah. So
I was thinking of trying that. That seems fun. You just repeatedly jam reds into people.
yeah, that is an old school piece of Azalea tech that a lot of us people that were playing for 2 years or so were trying to make work. But yeah, it is a very degenerate strategy, and it feels horrible when you play against it. That's for sure. But yeah, thanks for the insight on War Mongers and not to get clogged up and stuff. And I think the main takeaway is just try and arsenal arrows when you can, especially when Snapdragons is still there, because you can still go too wide or whatever as well if you need to. And we'll get onto a few other things as well later on, which also relate to this. But moving on to the actual deck list that you used, just a couple of general questions actually, because I'm sure at some point you're probably are you gonna do a video on your channel about a deck tech and all this at some stage? Can we expect that from you?
Probably. Yeah, probably. I'm just thinking of what what Azalea things I want to talk about. Stuff like
Yeah,
you don't want to use your Azalea ability to dominate stuff typically.
yeah,
Stuff like that. Stuff that most people have misconceptions about regarding Azalea. Stuff like that, or some things that people don't think about. Some things that people don't consider. I really want to sort of round those up first, so that the deck tech or tournament report or whatever
Mhm.
really gives the most value to people.
yeah. Well, what will that be on your channel, the Unbox channel? Will it?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, I'll make sure in the description of this video I'll link your channel as well, so people can go and check it out as and when you put that out. And make sure you subscribe to his channel and all this, do all that good stuff. But yeah, another question from Sebastian, who asked one earlier. This is just a general questions with regards to your list. So first of all, what card overperformed during the Taipei weekend? So what was your You drew this card and you was like, oh, this is just so good right now. What's that? What is that card in your deck?
In the finals, it was definitely Command and Conquer.
Oh god, yeah. Offensively as well, not defensively, right?
Yeah, yes. I bolt and shot CNC them thrice.
Yeah.
And all three CNCs connected, I think.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really punishing against the new draw my list with the more non-blocks because of the tome. I think I caught him with I think there was a turn where he had 2 tomes, one in arsenal and one in hand.
Wow.
I think there was a turn like something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably that in the finals outside. Let me think. In the Swiss, yeah, probably that the CNCs. Yeah, I think also that not all Azalea lists run the CNC. Some of them have down and dirty instead. So
yeah,
I
but
think
CNC as an actual valuable attack got you so much good stuff, right?
Yes. It's a very good codex target.
Yeah.
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 Good into War Monger's turns. Yeah, I guess it would be CNC.
Yeah,
really good.
I don't blame you, to be honest. It's the versatility of it. It's in there really for the popper, but when you attack with it, it's still really, really good, right? So, especially if you can do a 1-2 punch with something and then a CNC is still outrageous, really.
The bolt and shot CNC or bolt and shot codex CNC. Really good.
Well, that won you the game at the very end there, didn't it? Which,
yeah.
which we'll get to in a bit. And you can see all of these. I think you can see the semi-final and the final on stream on Flesh and Blood's the stream, the actual LSS's YouTube channel. But we'll mention that later. And then Seb goes on to ask what card underperformed and one you think can be cut. I know this is obviously probably meta dependent or sort of event dependent, but what do you think for this weekend? What card do you think didn't really do what I wanted it to do, etc.?
maybe Sink Below.
Yeah.
Maybe Sink Below.
Mm. So
Maybe Sink Below. I can't remember it
if it really did
being
anything.
super. Yeah, yeah. At least this weekend. At least this weekend.
Yeah.
I think I do still like the card, but if you look at the whole list and you're considering cuts, I think Sink Below is somewhere on there. It might also have been due to the fact that I didn't run into any problems. I think that having those helps that matchup.
Yeah.
But I didn't run into any, so I guess I didn't get to use the Sink Belows that much. I used it once in the Dory game to cover a 4, and then I think that's about it. I didn't really use it to react to anything or to cover a breakpoint. I think,
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah. And that kind of makes sense. It's very sort of dependent on what you come up against, how useful it is. Because decks that I've played, I'm no champion or anything, but I just don't see the point in being defensive. I don't see the point really. But I guess it does. There are times when it can change a game. But if it's the lowest, the one that's underperformed, that also makes sense as well at the same time. So that's that. Runner-up Azalea from the Azalea Cult Discord. So this is I can't remember what his name is, but he came second in the Swiss National Championships with his Azalea deck, because I was there. I was at the Switzerland National Championships this year, just because I fancied a trip, and I have friends in Switzerland, and it's a lovely place. Very expensive, but also very nice. But runner-up Azalea says, my question is, what made you go for the tar pit traps instead of sinks/fates? I know you have a couple of sinks in there, but fates is also...
yeah.
And then follow-up question, in retrospect, was it the right call? So tar pit traps in comparison to sinks or fates?
So Tarpet Chaps are very good into Lexi.
Yeah.
So we just want to make that matchup as stable as possible, because even though you are favored, games are still kind of flippy. So having Tarpit definitely does help in that matchup. I realized that in that matchup, I think it is correct to cut Enlightened Strikes. Because it's just raw damage, and you're not gonna win. You're not gonna win.
Yeah.
It's middle consistent, and you don't beat Lexi doing consistent fair things.
Just need
So
more spiky stuff rather than just raw damage.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So the tar pits are there, so it helps to cover the strong on hits, and I think more importantly, actually, so it's a block 3 yellow.
Yes.
The fact that it's a yellow, really. When I started playing this list, the one thing I really wanted was to add a little bit more resource cards, because I really hated the turns where you have to pitch a red to death dealer, pitch a red to shoot the arrow.
Yeah.
Felt so bad.
Yeah.
So I think the tar pits being extra yellows, really do help. Really do help. It's a really big deal.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people love. I mean, back when Outsiders released, a lot of people were thinking, Melting Point is really good because it's a 3-block red that makes an arrow get +4. But then when they compared it to Deadeye, that's a yellow 3-block that gives something +3 with the discard effect as well, which sometimes happens, sometimes doesn't. But the fact it was yellow made all the difference. So I imagine that's another.
Yes, I love Deadeye. That's another one of the overperformed, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But silent underperformer like Deadeye. I love Deadeye.
There's so much utility in it. It pitches well because you can, you Death Dealer plus shoot it from the resources, blocks 3, and then does buffs it if you need. And if you can get the discard thing, you love in life, really, because that's also very punishing. Yes. But I think to make that work, you need to have the knock the death whistle as well, don't you? Plus extra resources, because you need to go and get the thing or see the thing on top and then do it.
Yeah, you need to see the thing off an opt or or knock.
Yeah. Cool. So that's that. DK Gaming from the Azalea Cop Discord, of course. All of you, thanks for all your questions. There's a load in here. What do you feel is the hardest Azalea matchup for your list personally?
I think for probably any Azalea list, it's going to be Bravo.
Yep.
Because they can so level 1 is like you have to not get high rolled.
Yeah.
If they do decide to flip you and they just roll their time walks, you just you can't do anything.
GG's.
So and then if you do get past that, you have to hope hope that they don't fatigue, like that they can't fatigue you. So, well, it's not a hope thing. You have to pilot your deck well enough to that, so that they can't fatigue you. Because even Bravos who are less experienced, they will still stumble upon the fatigue plan.
Yeah.
They will slowly start losing the trades and realize I need to block, and then they'll just keep blocking 12, and then unless you get lucky dominates off of ops, or you draw the knocks, it's really hard to jam damage through.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really hard to jam damage through unless you know the Rain Raiders combo. And even if you do know how to do the Rain Raiders combo, it is so hard to execute against a Bravo that is inserting threats every now and then. So that even in the late game, when you are setting it up, you have to make him block with his hand every turn. Because if you don't, that turn might be the crippling from Arsenal, or the
Yeah.
crippling from the stack, or the star stuff from the stack. And then and then it makes you either block or discard pieces of the Rain Rangers combo, and then it all falls apart. So it's so hard. You have to manage building the stack and knowing where everything is, so that you can do the combo perfectly while making him block.
Yeah.
It's so hard. Yeah, the matchup is so hard.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
it so that the rain razors thing is that just pitching rain razors and Bolton shots to make sure they all come round at the same sort of time? Is it, or
Yeah, and then you want to end with 5 total of those 2 cards. So
right?
5, so either 3 Boltons and 2 Rains, or the other way around, with a Bolton shot and Arsenal,
Mm.
and then Tunic Counter and Codex on top.
Wow. Yeah.
So that is 26 to 30 damage off of yellows and blues.
Nice. Yeah. Way too big brain for me. When Levi tried to explain it to just like the casual Azalea cult, they were just like, "How the hell do you do this? You know, you guys operate at such a high level. It's crazy for us to try and even set that sort of thing up, right?" But
Yeah, shout out to him. I learned how to do that from his Calling Las Vegas tournament report video. I
yeah,
didn't know about that until then, and wow, like amazing. And then I can't imagine beating a Bravo. I can't imagine any Azalea beating a Bravo if you don't know
if
how
you
to
don't
do
know it,
that combo,
yeah,
or at least like some some suboptimal version of it. I can't imagine Azalea beating Bravo unless you like just flip dominate all the time. Like
hmm
it seems impossible. It seems impossible without that combo.
yeah, definitely. And then DK Gaming goes on to ask, is there any cards you tried in playtesting or want to try that you feel could be a good addition to the deck list that you ran?
Fatigue shot.
Alright,
The
yeah.
other Azalea that did well at the calling, I made friends with him. Hilmi.
Mhm.
He said that he ran a fatigue shot instead of a second sleep dart. Fatigue
Okay.
shot is interesting to help with the Bravo matchup, but I don't think it's correct to have it in place of a sleep dart, because sleep dart you need sleep dart for Dromai, and sleep dart also sort of does the same thing against Bravo, makes it so they can't full time walk you.
Yes.
They can make you block with your hand, but at least they can't time walk you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Sleep Dart I think is just so
Yeah.
valuable because it's basically a red in the ledger against your heart, well,
Yeah.
against Dromai, isn't it? So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
hard to justify
So
taking it out.
yeah, fatigue shot does look really good. I just don't know what I'd cut for it. Maybe saying something like that.
Yeah.
It does look nice.
Mm.
Another arrow. Levi's mentioned hamstring.
Yes.
Hamstring. Yeah. Maybe space for that also. But yeah, the list is just so tight that looks interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't tested much outside of this list because I've really liked his. By the way, my list is Levi Roush's nationals list. But so I was using that list pretty much the whole time up until the tournament where I swapped out 3 D-Reacts for the 3 Tarpet Traps.
Yeah.
And I do like the Tarpet Traps, especially because they're yellows.
Yeah.
So yeah, other than that, I haven't been able to personally try out or play test or experiment with any other cards. But
Cool.
those, I think off the top of my head, those two would be interesting if you could make some space for them.
Yeah. And they would be what, one-offs?
Probably
Yeah.
just so you can knock, or I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Probably just because there's no space.
Yeah.
There's no space to have them be more than one. Maybe the E strikes. I saw Brody's list didn't run the E strikes
Mm.
because it's a card that's yeah, I talked to him about it. It's just a card that's like always good, never great. So and I think you just want to be doing unfair things right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I totally understand the Easter egg thing, and it's also because it it's a chance for an opponent to get some tempo back. It's something that they can no block.
Yeah.
Uh, so I do understand just putting something else there. That's also why I take it out in the Lexi matchup, because it's something that they can just no blocks, and you really, really, really want to maintain tempo in that matchup.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you explained it perfectly earlier. It's just one of those cards that, and you said it there as well. It's good, but it's never great. It's just a means to an end. It's a bit of free damage that you might get, or it might just be a go again, a one for a two punch or whatever. But it's never anything better than that, is it? Really? They're happy to just take it. Whereas
the best it ever gets is when you don't have an arrow to load, and then you skullbone into an arrow on top.
Yes.
That's about the best it ever gets.
Yeah.
I think that's the best it ever gets. Yeah.
Yeah. I have done it a few times where I can, you actually snapdragons the E strike and then you draw a card so you can go one deeper. Because you've already seen the thing on top and you're like, nah, I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to E strike, snap E's, draw that, then Death Dealer and draw another card that I haven't seen yet to then maybe do something else if you're in a weird spot. But yeah, definitely makes sense. So going on to the Calling Taipei and just the general sort of vibe and sort of experience of that event. Postponed, Chris M says, outside of winning the Calling, because what can top that, obviously, what was your favourite moment of the weekend in Taipei? I've never been to Taipei, but it looks awesome. So what was your favourite moment from that weekend in general?
What was my favorite?
I know it's hard to say something else other than winning, but
yeah, very tough. I got paired against Brody Spurlock.
Oh yeah.
And I got paired against Brody Spurlock, and we had an Azalea non-game pretty much, where you just jam dominate, and there's not many relevant decisions to be made on either side. So our match finished pretty early.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of time till the next round, and then we just talked about Azalea and other things up until the next round, and I thought that was great. That was at that point, that was my favorite part of the calling. Definitely, that was my calling highlight.
Nice. Well, it makes sense because obviously he, I think he was after Outsiders, he was the first person to win at the Realm Games event that was being streamed.
Yeah,
because it was him and Levi in the mirror match at the end, and everyone was like, "Bloody hell, Azalea is ridiculously good now because there's a sort of semi-big event, which is Azalea mirror match." So yeah, makes sense. That was great to see as well. And it's one of those moments where the optics are like everybody is looking at Azalea now because in that moment it was a mirror match for a pretty big tournament. Although it was non-official, it was still a pretty big tournament. And now the eyes are all on Azalea again because of what you've done. So we'll get to the implications of that in a moment as well. But Chris goes on to say, was there a play mistake you made during the Swiss rounds or during the top 8 that dragged with you all weekend? If so, what was it and how do you handle that sort of stuff moving forward? So was there any moments where you might have made a mistake?
There's one. It was on my stream game. I think it was the Dori or the Katsu game.
Okay.
It didn't matter, but I did remember it. It didn't matter. So what the mistake was I had Bolton shot that had go again.
Yeah.
I think it was laced with something.
Mm-hmm.
And I had Rabble and Red in the Ledger in hand. I think I loaded the Bolton shot and drew the red.
Yeah.
I think was what happened. So what I did was I played the Rabble first to see. Yeah, I played the Rabble first. I think I might have been looking for better arrow to try and Azalea in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was the idea. But I think it was correct to bolt and shot first.
Mhm.
Um, if they have a nice hand, they're gonna no blocks it, which gives me the reload.
Yeah.
So now I can play the red to disrupt their turn.
Yeah.
What I ended up doing was I rabbled first, and then I shot the bolt and shot. Then I realized I should have held the rabble,
Yeah. Yeah.
but then I think it didn't matter because they blocked the bolt and shot anyway. I think was what happened.
Yeah. Because
Yeah,
that's the thing, right? If you present the bolt and shot for 7 with go again on hit reload, if they block it, that's fine. But if they don't,
yeah,
you can
yeah,
then follow up a bit harder, can't you, afterwards? Because you reloaded,
yeah.
essentially.
So I to forcibly strip the cards, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Cool. Yeah. But
I think that, and then I've been thinking about the bracers Yenderai thing the whole time. If it was correct, I think I stand by it. I was thinking there was a minor optimization there. Because my hand was 2 strikes, a rabble, and a codex. The minor optimization is um if I am disregarding the possibility that the top card of my deck is a blue, I should bracers first. So if it is a yellow, I proceed with striking the Yenderai. If it is a red, now I can rabble the Yenderai for 6,
yeah.
and then I can strike his face for 5, which gets me 1 more point
Mhm.
instead of rabbling first for 4 and then killing the Yenderai. So I realized that was a possibility, but I think it's always better just to rabble first, just to check the color.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's a valid line of play, but that was something that I thought about.
Mm.
Yeah. Other than that, I can't really think of other like major mistakes. I lost a Lexi game. So my 2 losses in Swiss were to Lexi and to Uzuri. The Uzuri game was a bit weird because first of all we got deck checked,
Mhm.
and then there was a judge call. So we ended up with like 17 minutes total time extension. So the round timer over there is not what your actual timer is, but it doesn't register with you psychologically.
Oh yeah.
Like you see that there's 5 minutes on the clock. You know you have 22, but you just feel kind of rushed.
Yeah.
And I think my opponent too was kind of feeling the time pressure.
Mm.
So I'm pretty sure I ended up playing a bit kind of rushed. And then the end of the game was I shot him with an infecting. So he was at 5. I shot him with an infecting, and I had rain razors in hand. So if I rain razored him, he'd go down to 3 with the blood rot, and then if he took the blood rot, he'd go down to 1. And I'm pretty sure I could have found that point like somewhere during the game.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
But it was just the
So
pressure of it. Yeah.
yeah. It was a pressure. My opponent was playing pretty fast too, kind of just because of the time pressure. Um, that, and then my other loss to Lexi, I I couldn't really remember anything of note that I could have done wrong in that game.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing that follows on from that actually is another question here, which I was going to save till the end, but I just thought it'd make more sense to ask it now based on what you said. So this is from Fabled Hero NZ. So she's been on Azalea for absolutely ages, and she cosplays the character in New Zealand. So she says, how do you handle the pressure of being on the top tables? And thank you for choosing this character as well, she says. But how do you handle the pressure of that? Is there any sort of preparation or sort of mental stuff that you do to get in the zone? Especially when you get to top 8 as well. That's big.
I don't really do anything special,
Mm.
but actually before the finals, I was pretty nervous.
Yeah.
I guess I looked pretty nervous also. I think I was like just trying to breathe, and Nick asked me like, "Are you okay?" And then yeah, I told him like I'm nervous, and then he's like, "Calm, chill out, just calm down. Like it's the same game. It's just the same game that you've been playing, right?"
Yeah.
So I think
That's nice to hear.
I've been thinking about that, like, and I think that's a good way to think about it. Like it's the same game. It's just the same game that you've been playing, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so just take it back to the simplest form. It's just the game that you were playing last time, but now it's just the final. I guess just try and not to think of the occasion. I guess, but that is hard to be in those shoes. But that's fair enough. Good stuff. So moving on to the matchups that you had then, just a breakdown of the actual tournament itself. So you've already mentioned the losses, the Azuri and the Lexi. What were the other matchups that you encountered in Swiss? You don't have to recall every single one,
Yeah.
but if you wanted to go through what you faced, that would be nice.
Oh, actually, okay. Let's I'll look for it right here.
Because
Right here.
I think Gem now display the player and the hero that you played against. I think it
Not
does.
the hero,
Not the
but
hero.
I typed out my pairings at some point, so I just went back to the message. Yeah, I
Right.
have it here.
All right.
So I'll send it to you so you can have it in text form or something.
Yep.
So round one was Icelander. So I
Okay.
won that. That one was pretty close. I I was down to he could do 4 and 7. Um 4, 7, and 2, 9. I think I was down to 10. Down to 10, and then I presented lethal, knowing that his maximum range could only bring me down to 1 life. So if he
Oh
had
wow.
the best card in hand and then waning, it would only bring me down to 1. And then I was presenting lethal on board. So that was pretty close.
Yeah.
Round two, I think round two was Icelander also. Surprisingly, I was surprised to see a good amount of Icelander.
Yeah.
Given Lexi's, given the expected Lexis. Um, so Icelander, I won that round also. That one was um a lot easier, that game. It was a lot farther. Um, I think I had better draws that game. I think I drew like Codex back to back.
Oh, lovely.
Um, yeah. Round three was Katsu. That this was on stream, so it was a
All
bit
right.
of a non-game. It was a bit of a non-game. Yeah, a bit of a non-game. I don't remember much meaningful decisions there.
So
I think I think
literally just high rolled them. They could do nothing situation, was it?
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you could check out the stream. I think the one decision was whether I wanted to block a Fluster Fist with a Tarpit in my arsenal,
Right.
to free it up. So the other decision would be to keep it to try and get another card on my turn. But I think that was too greedy given the state of the game.
Yeah.
Next was Old Dash, so Inventor Extraordinaire.
Mhm.
Oh, sorry. No, round three Katsu, and then round four was Lexi. This was my first loss. It
Yeah.
was pretty close. I had him down to like 4, I think. Yeah, I had him down to 4. I think there was an Arctic Incarceration somewhere there that
Oh yeah.
messed me up. Yeah, I hate that card. I
Oh
hate that
yeah.
card.
Yeah.
Um, what else?
That's
I think
basically a time walk for us really as Azalea players, right?
yes, 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 yeah. I hate
Four,
that
is it
card.
4 frostbites? Okay, then I guess I'm doing nothing. Brilliant.
Yeah. So that game was pretty close also. Bit back and forth. I think at the end he was down to 4, and then I had to try and go for a blind Azalea, I think.
Oh yeah, we've all been
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Go for the blind
Yeah.
Azalea. Nice.
It was because the choice was either present like a Bolton shot for 6 or blind Azalea. And I don't think 6 was gonna cut it if he was at 4.
No.
Because I shoot him, he blocks with 1 card, goes to 1, and I lose.
Yeah.
So I had to go for the blind. My round 5 was, so I lost that first loss.
Yeah.
Round 5 was Old Dash.
Mhm.
Dash Inventor Extraordinaire. As anybody that plays Azalea knows, this is pretty easy matchup, right? I think because you never really have to block, so you can block when you need to, like when you have excess cards. But other than that, your deck can just perform as is. And I think our deck is one of the strongest at performing consistently because of cross wrap and the Death Dealer. Just having raw point, having consistently outputting above rate points. And so yeah, if you're not getting disrupted or not having to value block anything like with on hits, um, I think this matchup is really really favored for us. Not to mention if you dominate a red, they're one of those decks that fall to that. You can also just end up fatiguing them by damage, I think.
Yeah.
Because if they boost, if they boost a couple cards at some point when they try to trade with you, eventually you don't even have to dominate anything. If you're just consistently presenting enough, they will just fatigue by damage because of the few cards that they boosted. Um, Round six was against Alexi, and I won. Was this Brody? I think this is Brody. Yeah, round six was Brody.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a non-game from what I remember. Yeah, because it ended so fast. Yeah, a bit of a non-game. We there was one relevant decision in this game on both sides that ended up not mattering. I think. Well, on my side, it didn't matter. It was about popping bracers to. So he was at 7, and I had a reloaded bolt and shot that was yellow with Rain Razor's live. So if I just shot it, it would be for 5.
Yeah.
So I ended up popping the bracers to try and hit a red to make it 7 to force
Okay.
a card.
Yeah.
Yeah. We ended up talking about it after the game. We both ended on it was probably incorrect. Probably incorrect. But yeah, it didn't matter because like I think I high rolled him. It was a non-game. Um, there was also a minor optimization on his side that he missed that he mentioned to me, and I never would have thought about it because I don't play Lexi. So that was amazing. That was amazing. Basically, it was he quivered on his turn, and then we talked about it after, and he realized that he should have quivered on my turn before deciding blocks. So he should have activated quiver to see what he would get, and then now he can decide how he should block.
Oh,
Because
the rustling leaves quiver.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. That was really really sharp. That was a really sharp optimization.
Mm.
Um, yeah. That round was really nice. I just got to talk with him after about Azalea and other things. Next round was Reinar.
Yeah.
Reinar in round 7. X and 1 Reinar, right?
I think I saw someone on Twitter actually saying, "Oh, I wish I knew Taipei loves Reinar because apparently there's
Yes,
quite."
I said that. Yeah, Yuanji. I think Yuanji.
That's
was
it.
Yuanji.
That's it. Yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah, nice. Reinar,
yeah,
how did
yeah.
this go?
So yeah, this one was he drew a bellow. I think like turn 1 or 2.
Yeah.
uh, the good amount of damage, and then he discarded a bellow to one of his draw discard effects, and then he drew his third bellow. I think in the first like maybe 20 cards or something, 20-30 cards. So he had all 3 bellows in the top half of his deck. So that this game was really close. I think from what and then after the game, so it was really close. He brought me down to 1,
Okay.
and then I had to make the choice whether I was gonna. I forgot if I had a choice, or if I just had to hope that I drew Sigil before he drew Reckless. Oh yeah. So yeah, I went down to 1, and instead of like not attacking and waiting, I just played normally and hoped I got to my Sigil before he did his Reckless, which I did. I got my Sigil, and then won the game from there. And then after the game, he actually talked about one of his bellow turns. So it was round 7. Yeah, round 7 the Reinar. Uh, because on his last bellow turn, he rolled scabs and hit, and then he strike me to draw a card,
Yeah.
and then cast swing big for 10. I was at 11, so the 10 brought me down to 1.
Mm-hmm.
So he talked to me after the game. He said that the strike, he drew a card. He was trying to hope for a yellow to try and swing with the claw, because at that point he hadn't swung with his second claw yet, but he missed and he drew a red.
Right.
So, but I was down to 1, right?
Yeah.
So if you think about it, if he just striked for 7, I was dead. He didn't need to go for the yellow. So I think he missed lethal there. If he striked for 7 and then cast swing big, I would have died because I survived at 1.
And
So
he could have done that as well, right?
yeah,
Right. Okay.
yeah. He could have 7'd into swing big instead of strike draw card to try and hit the yellow. Basically, I think he didn't realize that he didn't need to go for 5 and would have killed me with 2.
Right.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Round 8 was against Alexi. Round 8. This was the start of day 2. I think this was pretty. Yeah, I won the die roll here, and then I think this was a. I think this was this a non-game also? This was less of a non-game. This was less of a non-game. There was a bit more back and forth here, but yeah, I won.
Nice.
Round 9, Uzuri. I talked about the time pressure thing. There was a judge call.
Yep.
There was an extra. Yeah, there was an extra card, like somewhere that like not in the play area, so they weren't sure how to resolve that. I forgot if it was a pitch card or something,
Mhm.
so I'm not sure. I lost that to damage. I lost that to damage. I didn't get fatigue. I think we are favored into Uzuri. It's just a little weird. It's a little weird. You try and play. You try and not have an arsenal when you can, when it's not free. So you play out your buffs instead of saving it to cross wrap. But I think if you do that, you should be fine into Uzuri. Round 10 was Dorinthia. This was on stream. I won this game.
Okay.
It was pretty. Uh, um, there are a good amount of local Dorinthias here.
Yep.
A lot of our very consistently in our like top eights or something. There's gonna be like one Dorinthia. So I did have a lot of practice into the Dorinthia matchup. I also have a teammate who plays Dorinthia, so I have a lot of practice into Dorinthia. I really enjoy the matchup too. No matter what character I'm on, I really like deducing what's in their hand and stuff like that. So this game was on stream. Um, I got him with a. I shot a red in the ledger. He blocked with all of his armor, and then I raid razored.
Oh,
So
nice.
he lost.
Yep.
Yeah. So he lost so much value off of that. Not only did he lose all of his armor, but he got time walked. Um,
Yeah.
the game ended with him having a gigantic dawn blade off of Iron Song Pride. It was a nice game. Nice game. Then round 11 was Alexi. This one was, what was this? Oh yeah, this was a really nice Lexi game. This was a slower one. I remember this being the slowest Lexi game I think of the tournament.
A
There was a lot of
slow
blocking.
Lexi game? What?
Yeah, a lot of blocking back and forth. I forgot. Yeah, a lot of blocking back and forth. Not just one by like high roll and power cards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I really like this one because so this was my winning in, but I didn't know it. I didn't know this was my winning in. So yeah, the last turn of this was really cool. I had um so I started with red in the ledger in Arsenal,
Mhm.
and then I had Snapdragons. My hand was knock, blue, and then two red Bolton shots. So I have no buff.
No.
So I start my turn, I flip, I cross wrap, and I see lace with blood rot on top. So the sequence I ended up going with was so um I could have just gone the Azalea in the lace, and then I think that's the first instinct of a lot of people, right? Which is usually correct, right? You Azalea in the buff instead of the arrow. So you Azalea in the buff, you play the buff, and then Death Dealer in something, um, and then knock something. Although you wouldn't be able to Azalea in the thing you knock in this case. I think that's why I thought of this line. So anyway,
Yeah.
so I shoot the snaps. I shoot the red in the ledger first. He blocks with two cards. I snaps it, and then I don't death dealer yet. I bracers to get to guarantee the
Plus
plus
two.
two because I
Yeah.
know the lace is still on top. Then I load the bolt and shot and draw the lace. I don't play the lace yet. I shoot him for six go again, and then I play knock. So I use the knock reload to put bolt and shot, and then put to reload bolt and shot, and then get infecting, and then I azalea the infecting, then laced it for exact lethal. Because exact lethal. He had
Nice.
at that point he was at 12. So it was the infecting plus 3, 8, double blood rot 12.
Oh, yeah, so it was a lace with blood rot on top, yeah?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, I think that was my takes aside, I think that was my favorite turn of the tournament. I think that was the most creative one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Round 12, another Lexi. This was Alan Lau. I didn't realize, but I think this game had no bearing for him. because I beat him. It was a non-game. Yeah, it was a nice non-game. I beat him and he was still first seed, so it had no bearing for him. I think so. I it was we were playing for my seeding.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Top eight. It was Reinar rematch with. It was a rematch with the Reinar I fought in Swiss. Um, got a little scared. He had one War Mongers in his list. A little scared.
Oh.
Um, but yeah, I think the matchup is really fine for Azalea. So similar to like Dash, where it's just raw damage, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you can block when you need to. You just play slow, and then Death Dealer will kick in and they die. Or Death Dealer will eventually you'll dominate something and get value from that. Um, it's really uh it's really nice also when you lace when you put an inertia effect on a an overpumped red or remorseless. So it forces if they get caught with a non-block in hand, or if it's dominated, they get forced to play their blood rush, um or it just goes away. Because if they have red and seek, if their blood rush is in arsenal, they can't
Forces
do
it.
anything. It just yeah,
Yeah.
it either forces it if it's a remorseless, and now they're taking remorseless throughout their blood rush turn, or yeah, if it's a red, just goes away, and then their power card is gone. So
It,
yeah, that match was pretty. I think it was pretty one sided. The life totals were the life totals were really far. I think I ended the game at like 20 something. I think it was something like that. Something like that.
were they
Um.
using the were the Reinars using the scowling flesh bag helmet against
Oh
you?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think that's the way to go. I think
Yeah.
that's the way to go. Especially against bolted shot turns where I am representing Codex. Really good just to block. Yeah, I think it's really good. I think it's really good. I
Yeah.
think it's correct definitely to run scowling. So he
Nice.
was on that, and then I won that one. Top four was Lexi, rematch with Alan Lau. Yeah, Alan Lau, I think. Rematch because yeah, we fought in round 12. So the last round was Swiss rematch. As you saw on stream, it was kind of a non-game. I think it was three or four reds in a row, and then there was one red where it was not dominated. I think so. He blocked it exactly, and I had the third rain.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a blowout. Um, yeah, that game was over pretty fast. And then grand finals, draw my Nick Butcher. I'm really happy that this was the grand finals because it was the most skill like it was the most skill testing game I had this whole weekend.
Oh, without a doubt.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, it was the first draw my of the weekend also, so that was I was a bit scared because of that because I know the matchup is favored for me, but it's hard. If you make the wrong call, you don't kill a dragon when you're supposed to. The matchup can you just lose your edge when you make a mistake. So I was pretty scared.
And
Had to
the
do some
Enderai as well. Like
yeah
it sticks around for so long because you have to find that card that can kill it
yeah
in a certain moment. And I think
yeah
you cracked the braces of belief to then
yes
kill the thing, didn't you? That was a cool thing.
yes yes yes. I think that was correct. It might not have been because of the fact that I still had three poppers in my deck, but I think it's okay to play stable. I think it's okay to play stable.
Mm.
I think a lot of people are scared to go longer against Dromai. Of course, you don't want to play like too long, but if you're just trading, you have Death Dealer. You have Death Dealer, so
Yeah.
don't be too scared to slow down, especially if they don't have a lot of Ash. If they don't have a lot of Ash, it's okay to slow down, I think, to clear dragons. Just so the dragons on board don't repeatedly get value into you.
Yeah, because that
There were
I don't think during that game he had too many ash wings, right? It was more like valuable dragons.
yeah, yeah. The yeah, I was lucky that when he got his Kryloria, I drew my first popper.
Yeah.
And I ended up killing the Yenderai, and then I think he played a rake for one Ashwing,
Yeah, I think
and
so.
I rabbled that one. I rabbled that Ashwing. I think it was early enough in the game that the rabble on the Ashwing was correct. Given also the fact that like I'm okay with trading a little, going a bit longer, just because the death dealer kicks in. You real That's also part of why I like the sigils and the D-Racks in the list, because you don't have to go full aggressive. Um, it's nice. The sigils are nice because uh they're cards that you can use when you're on the offensive. When you do have full tempo, they're cards you can use that extend the game. There are ways to. It's a way to use tempo defensively, and I think we're okay playing long games because again, death dealer. Eventually, after like 10 turns of you drawing 5 cards and them drawing 4, the difference gets bigger and bigger. Um,
Yeah, especially when you can,
yeah,
especially when you can just draw a card off of the tunic that you have. It's just those
yeah,
those
yeah,
those moments really
yeah,
can
yeah. That
catch
too.
up.
That too. Yeah, turns with it's where it's a zero cost arrow and a bunch of pumps. Super clean, crazy. Your rate is crazy.
Yeah,
Um, the other interesting turn there was the oh yeah, so
warmongers.
yeah, I both
There's a
yeah, the
warmonger.
Warmongers turn, yeah.
Yeah,
Um for I think for like 3 or 4 consecutive turns, I deliberately arsenaled to not get Warmongered.
yeah.
I was very committed to not getting Warmongered. I really wanted to see one before I played a little looser.
Mhm.
And it paid off.
Yeah.
I think my arsenals were, I think 2 of them were E Strike and Rabble. The E Strike, I lost a point in order to arsenal the E Strike for sure. I remember that turn. Instead of double E striking, I Rabble E Strike, so I lost 1 point, but it allowed me to arsenal the E Strike. Um, yeah, I bolt and shot CNC them thrice. Um, and then the turn before the last turn was pretty nice too. It's pretty uh it was pretty creative. One of the more unique ones you see. So I flipped up Spire Sniping. Then my top were Knock and Spire.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, so it dominating Spire Sniping is not gonna cut it, and you can't really Azalea into Knock for obvious reasons.
Yep.
So the turn ended up being, as you if you watch the stream, so it was Spire, Snaps, and then load a Searing Shot, draw the Knock, play a pump, and then knock into a sleep dart so that his board doesn't hit me. And then I think I got a ponder off of that also. I
Yeah.
think the pump was a pre med, I believe. That was a really good turn. That was a really good turn from a very awkward spot where you flip Spire Sniping and both of your things are not, like, these are not what you were hoping for. I think given that kind of spot, I thought that turn was very very good.
Mm.
Then of course the final turn, um, the final turn, um, I was counting. I think he had one sand cover left, and that was his only out to surviving. But then I realized that even if he did have the sand cover, he'd be down to one, and the CNC would destroy his arsenal. So unless of course he saved his cards to block the CNC.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Unless he did that, but I think he'd want to block the Bolton shot for the reload. To deny the reload. So yeah, that was his one out to surviving, and if he didn't play it correctly, the CNC would destroy the rabble. Yeah, the CNC would destroy the rabble. He'd be down to one, and then I would be able to try and kill him again with 4 cards because he'd only be able to swing with one dragon. He didn't have the sand cover, so it was exactly lethal. The start of that turn, I think I cross wrapped and I saw Spire sniping. I believe I saw Spire sniping. Um, and then I believe I saw Spire sniping, so I couldn't. Oh yeah, so I was thinking about So my hand was Codex. It was Codex, blue, Codex Blue, Deadeye, Bolt and Shot, Codex. So Codex and Arsenal, and then
Yeah.
Blue, Deadeye, Bolt and Shot, and then Codex. So when I got to my turn, I was really looking to opt into a buff, because if I did opt into a buff, I think that was instantly game, because I would Azalea in the buff,
Yeah.
play the buff, load Bolt and Shot, buff the Bolt and Shot, and then Codex for over lethal. Um, but it wasn't. I think it was blue Spire sniping, and dominating Spire sniping was not gonna cut it because he had Sigil and Sand Cover left.
Mm-hmm.
I think at that point there were 4 pumps in my deck left, 4 or 3. Um, and then yeah, that turn took so long because I was I was figuring out if the line I ended up taking was enough to kill him. So I was thinking about that line. Then I was thinking if I had to bet it on a blind Azalea to try and hit a pump.
That's what the commentators were saying as well. It was like, are we going to see a blind Azalea?
yeah. That was so scary. That was so scary. Like,
yeah,
just thinking like, is it really coming down to this?
yeah.
Does it really come down to a blind Azalea? Thankfully, it didn't, because I think I looked at. If you looked at, I posted a video of somebody who got the winning moment on camera,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the after realizing I had won, the first thing I do is check the top of my deck,
Yeah,
to see if the blind would have hit, and I forgot what it was, but it would not have hit.
yeah.
So I'm glad I did not blind Azalea.
Good.
I am very glad. Yeah, so that was the tournament.
Yeah, and the 2 matches that you described there, obviously I've put this in my notes as beating the Butcher, as the thing. So that was captured on stream. The Lexi before that was also. I only got to see the final, so I need to still watch the rest of them. But Lexi was captured on stream. And there was a few other Swiss that were captured on stream as well, and that was all on the Flesh and Blood.
Katsu and the Dory.
Yeah, and you said the Katsu was a non-game, and then a few, and the Dory as well. But
The Dory was interesting.
Dory was interesting. So that's all on the Flesh and Blood main YouTube channel. So go and check that out as well when you can. But yeah, congratulations on a fantastic tournament, and thanks for sort of running through it all with us here on the Azalea Cult. There's a lot of people that have been appreciating Azalea for the longest time, and they'll love to hear all of this. And I'm sure everybody else as well would love to hear your experiences. So thanks for doing that. There's a few more questions as well that are just random. If you're happy to go through a couple of these as well, which are again procured from the Azalea Cult, and then there's a few hashtag Azalea Cults on Twitter that I want to read out in case you've missed those as well. I just think those are quite cool, also. So first of all, this comes from Ian in the Azalea Cult Discord. What's the biggest mistake or trap you see other Azalea players make, and how would you correct this? Is the first question.
Aha. They dominate arrows too much. This one is easy.
Hey.
When people cross wrap and they see an arrow and they're like, "Ooh, wow! I can dominate my infecting shot, yay!" And they Azalea the arrow, and then they play their buffs and they pitch a card to do it. Don't do that.
Nice.
Don't do that. You want to start your turn with a buff. Always a buff so that you can death dealer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is the biggest misconception with Azalea. Everybody tunnels on the dominate too much.
That's right.
I guess before this weekend, like, I did not dominate a lot of arrows. You only really dominate off of Spire Sniping, read the glide path, and knock the death whistle, or rabble. When you load an arrow, you draw a card, and you rabble, and then you see a nice thing you can dominate.
Yeah.
So those are the only times you should be dominating, unless of course it's a red off the top.
Mm-hmm.
Red in the ledger is probably the only one you do that because the value is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Even then, in some matchups, you should not be doing that. You should still look for a buff. Yeah. So stop dominating. Stop dominating arrows when you're not gonna draw off of Death Dealer.
Yeah.
Stop it. Play buffs.
Look at that.
Play buffs. Use your Death Dealer.
Brilliant. I'm snipping that, and that's going on the internet. That one moment. But yeah, just going off of that as well. Like, a lot of the legacy Azalea players, people that have been playing since Arcane Rising, that is their exact mindset. I want to dominate whenever I see an arrow, and you're saying that is not the case. So that is one of the best pieces of advice, and because that's
Death dealer first.
Death Dealer
Death
first.
dealer first before dominate.
Exactly, because you want to get the value off of that. That's the thing, isn't it? And that's a good segue into the next question that Ian asks is Sandscour Great Bow or other bows versus Death Dealer. Have you tried it? What's your take on other bows, basically?
I haven't tried the Sandscour. It looks interesting. It looks fun. I think I haven't seen much of it, but I believe there's a lot of blind azaleas, right?
Yeah, because you run New Horizon as well, I think, in that one.
Yeah. So you just keep azaleaing.
Yeah.
That looks fun, but based on what I've read, it doesn't seem playable into a world with Dromai.
Yes.
Because Death Dealer is our only hope. So it looks fun, but I'm probably not gonna test it because of Dromai. There's also a good amount of Dromai in my country, so I'm definitely not gonna play Sandscar Great Bow.
Cool, makes sense.
It's fun though. It's fun though.
I got to spoil that card as well, Sandscar Great Bow, on Go Again Game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Did a cool little video for it, like a nice little cinematic, widescreen little video for it. Also, next question comes from Kuba in Discord. Says, what changes to your playstyle will the return of Bullseye Bracers bring? So obviously, Azalea players were hit hard by the fact that Lexi was abusing Bullseye Bracers, and I had a whole argument on Twitter about how LSS could ban the use of Bullseye and Bracers in Lexi only. You know, it could.
So, other card games do that. I think they're called like choice restrict or something like that.
Exactly.
They could have done that. Yeah, we were punished for the sins of another.
Exactly, and I'm glad you see the point that I'm making here is I think Flesh and Blood players are smart enough to check what cards they can use in their deck before they play a deck in a tournament. So why not just ban something for a hero that's clearly abusing it over somebody else? That was my argument that I was making on the internet that day.
Yeah.
But when that returns to us, will you use it as before, or do you think Bracers is decent? Because obviously you won a calling with Bracers, so what's your take on that?
So, fun fact, I have not been able to play Azalea with Bracers because it was already banned when I picked up Azalea.
Yeah.
So I've been on Belief the whole time. So I don't super
you don't miss it, I guess. You don't miss it because you haven't used it before.
Yeah, I don't miss it.
Yeah.
And I like Bracers is surprisingly it's a lot better than people thought. Right? It's a lot
100%.
fun. It's really fun. It's really fun also.
Yeah.
Finding applications of the cards, super fun.
Mm-hmm.
I just think if I had Bullseye Bracers, this hand would be crazy.
Smooths it over.
So So I am definitely excited to play with that card because I think you can do bolt and shot, load bolt and shot, pop the Bracers, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Rain Razor's turns get triple reloads. So I think there's probably no. It'll at least be there. It's probably better than Belief, probably. But at the very least, it'll be there because it's AB1 upgrade. It'll dramatically improve the Icelander matchup. Right? Because did you have Null Rune Gloves in your list? Because you just don't have to have that anymore, basically. So it could free up at least one slot if you don't use Braces of Belief anymore. But then again, I found a lot of use for Braces of Belief personally. I love the fact that you can just look at the top card, when you need to. If you know there's a red on top, you can give it +2, like you've said. You can turn on bolt and shots. You can make something else very tall. I think there's a lot of applications of it that Bullseye doesn't have. So I guess it's just figuring out what works for you. But I will miss Belief since Bullseye Bracers are probably better.
Yeah.
But Belief is it's very fun card.
Exactly. Mustache Wu asks, is Justin going to the calling in New Zealand, Queenstown? Because I like to give you a shake hand out of respect.
I am not yet.
Not yet.
But I am thinking about it.
Yeah, same.
Not yet.
I'm thinking about it as well. I mean, I don't know what the situation is because I think a lot of like content creators are getting invites to the tournament, but I don't know what
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. You know, because New Zealand, from UK to New Zealand, it's probably the longest trip you can potentially make from this country in the
Oh,
UK. You know, I searched it, and it's like 35 hours all round just to get there. It's crazy.
35?
35
That's
hours,
crazy.
yeah, like a couple of
Yeah.
stopovers. Stop over in Shanghai, and then from Shanghai to Christchurch in New Zealand, then Christchurch to Queenstown. Yeah, it's a long old
My
way.
goodness.
Yeah, it's a pretty long way. Where are you from again?
I'm from I'm from the Philippines. So it's not
Yeah.
it's definitely not a 35-hour trip for us. I think it's a couple of hours actually. Just a couple of
Do you
hours.
have a major airport in Philippines, or do you have to go somewhere else for that?
Yeah, we do. We do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. So you can just fly to New Zealand from there, basically.
I think so. Yeah. I think if anything it might be like through Australia or something.
Yeah, oh,
Maybe,
nice.
but probably there's probably a direct to New Zealand.
Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, watch out. Mustache Wu wants to shake your hand if you do go for doing this. Matagon says, do you think people will tech more into Azalea after your win? So after a lot of people are seeing this happen, do you think a lot of people are going to now think, Azalea's out there, the optics are all over, how do we tech against this? Do you think that will happen, and how do you think that might affect it going forward?
I think it's gonna take one more tournament. So if my win does cause Azaleas to start coming out,
Mhm.
I think it's gonna take one more tournament. So that tournament where people play Azalea, and then the one after that, the War Mongers are gonna come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's that. But I don't know. I'm not sure. Like, do you think people are gonna start playing Azalea?
Yeah, I think so. When they see this video and your respective videos, and anything that you appear on going forward, the optics are on Azalea now, as they were when we had the mirror match with Levi and Brody. But it was the same sort of story with Dromai, right? She was getting very, very far, but wasn't doing anything. Now that Azalea has done something in a very, very high level event as such, I think the optics are higher than they were ever before. And you have that whole underdog story as well, right? People want to play this hero because she hasn't done anything until now, and now I think that gives people more confidence to do it. So we'll see, I guess. But something completely different before we just wrap it up and go into the Azalea cult hashtags. This is from Andrew Mason. If you were to change character, who would you choose? Now, I think obviously we've touched on this with Bravo and everything, but what would you say would be your second hero pick going forward if you were to not play Azalea?
Not Azalea. So what? Not Azalea. Kano seems fun.
Yep.
Might be Kano. It might be Kano.
Hmm.
I dislike the fact that some Kano games are. Well, I'm not good enough to know if it has to be this way, but some Kano games are just like the game is decided if it's a blue or a red on top.
Yeah.
Yeah. For if when you have to go. So I dislike that a bit, but all the other parts of Kano seem fun. I love stacking with Kano.
So it's just the points that the Kano match. Just there's points that are decided from things that are out of your control, which will either win or lose you the game, basically.
Yeah. There's just some games that are so fast, so it's a bit volatile.
Yeah.
Games where all your blind Kanos are blue.
Mm-hmm.
Your hands are 3 reds and 1 blue, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but I do really like the mechanics of the deck and all that. What else? Anything else?
I mean, I've seen Levi playing a lot of Dash IO recently because obviously that's a bit top deck manipulation, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I was thinking of trying that out also because he was on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might look into that. Yeah, so maybe one of those two.
Yeah.
That or Kano, if not on Azalea.
Awesome. That pretty much wraps up I think that pretty much wraps up main questions that we had on the document. But just to share a few Azalea cult hashtags now, which were circulating during the weekend that you won. So this is from Optimist TCG. So hashtag Azalea Cult. Are we making October the 15th an official holiday? I think we need to celebrate Justin's victory and Our Lady of the Ledger's next step to ascension once per year. Well, I would agree with that. A national holiday for Azalea fans. Absolutely.
That would be nice.
That would be
That's nice.
Yep. Flesh and Blood Amsterdam. Congratulations to Justin. I've been part of the Azalea Cult for 2.5 years, and it's amazing to see Justin win Calling Taipei. Go and watch the stream. The matches were amazing. Praise be. And there's obviously the picture of you and Nick, because this is off the this is a retweet of the post that you said saying I just lost the rock paper scissors. That was a funny screenshot.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. My face. I was so just dumbfounded. Stupid face.
I bet. Yeah. And it was nice to see Nick's sportsmanship as well. Apparently, he gave you the trophy. Is that right? Did he do that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Love to see it.
Really nice gesture of him.
Yeah, definitely.
I heard from the commentators that he asked to do that, if he could do that.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people have this sort of predisposition of Nick, but yeah, that seeing that is fantastic. So fair play. Absolute sportsman-like conduct, which is what we like to see. Fab TCG Card says, Azalea wins, Azalea wins, Azalea wins. Congrats, Justin, for piloting the Supreme Leader to victory. What a day for the Azalea cult. Absolutely fantastic. Lovely old job. And then Fabled Hero NZ saying, I'm so happy to see my girl win. It's like her story of striving to live has finally played out. What a grave achievement. Praise be Justin and the Azalea cult. Dylan from TCG Talk says, so happy for the Azalea cult. This will have significant implications for Dallas, I think, because that's another calling that's coming up in Dallas, Texas, Fort Worth, I believe. You were seeing less and less War Monger's diplomacy, but now any deck that can effectively run it will come Dallas. Is that true, though, Dylan? Will we see that happen as soon as that?
Hopefully not.
Hopefully.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to other Azaleas if I have caused a spike in War Monger's usage.
Oh, it's gonna be funny.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's funny. But we did speak about how you can sort of navigate that happening. So, you know, if you know if you know that they're running it, then you can sort of arsenal your deck in certain ways. Sometimes you will just ponder into a non-attack, and you are going to arsenal that regardless. So sometimes you are going to get blown out by it, unfortunately, and that's just what happens. But
we're strong enough. We're strong enough.
We're strong enough.
We can power through it sometimes.
Yeah.
We can power through it sometimes.
Just give Ranger more instants. That'll be a good thing. Anyway, any last minute thoughts and/or advice for any players that might be looking to play Azalea after your immense performance? That's my last question to you. Any more closing thoughts?
You can refer back to the Death Dealer thing.
Yeah, we can refer back to that. Death Dealer.
Death Dealer over dominate. Death Dealer first, and then maybe dominate.
Absolutely.
What else? If you don't know how to do the Rain Raiders combo, like try and figure out how to do. it.
Mm-hmm.
What else? What can you improve with Azalea? Try not to blind Azalea when you don't have to. Assess in a game whether or not you need to take risk, so or how much risk you need to take in a game.
Mm-hmm.
So like sometimes sometimes you risk having a excess card in hand if the top card is an arrow, but then if you assess that you need the top card to be a buff for you to climb back into the game, sometimes you take that risk.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff like that. So stuff like blinds. So like let's say you have an arrow in Arsenal, and then you flip the top, it's also an arrow. You really want to buff. Sometimes the blind is fine if you know where all of your blues are. If all of your knocks are at the bottom or in the graveyard, or if there's only one, and if you really, really need a good turn to keep up, right? Or else you'll fall too far behind. Sometimes you blind. Don't blind without knowing what all the possible outcomes are. right? So if you have D-Reacts left in your deck, you probably shouldn't go for that line.
Yeah.
But if you do know, for example, like in the draw my matchup, in the draw my matchup, if all the blues are gone, I believe everything is a hit. I believe everything is fine.
Yeah,
Every
so
blind is fine.
if you're considering a blind Azalea, you have to remember, or at least know, or have a certain sort of remembrance, not well, sort of no pun intended, of where your blues are in your deck. You need to remember
Yes,
if you've either pitched them early or whatever. Because if you blind into a blue,
yes.
because if you blind into a knock, that's
Spy, yes,
garbage.
spy or knock,
It's just garbage.
disaster.
Yeah.
It's disaster. Yeah.
So yeah, just if you are considering it, just see if you know where your blues are, because like you said,
Yes.
if you mainly got reds left, that's either going to be a
Yeah.
buff or at least an arrow dominated. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So if you have something, an arrow, you either turn it into a buff or you get a different arrow that's dominated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. I think that's a good place to close it off. But where can people find you and your team for more sort of stuff on Azalea? And if they just want to follow where you go next, where can people do that?
I made a Twitter after I won.
You did. Yeah.
At JustinKoo22.
Yeah.
The Team Unbox Flesh and Blood channel on YouTube, Unbox Flesh and Blood.
Mm-hmm.
I have some Bravo Tech decks on there. No Azalea ones yet.
Yeah.
We are gonna shoot one soon.
Nice.
I just have to figure out what I'm gonna say. That's about it, I think. Yeah, that's about it. That
Nice.
and then, yeah, the Twitter.
Awesome. So what was it called? Unboxed Flesh and Blood. Unboxed
Yeah,
Flesh and Blood.
Yeah, Unbox Flesh and Blood.
Is it that one there?
Yeah, that one.
There we go.
Right there. The first video, Taipei vlog, Justin Koo, something.
That's the one, yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
There we go. So Unbox Fashion Blood or Unbox Fab. There will be a link in the description box of this video, so go and check it out, go and subscribe and do all that good stuff. So hopefully you'll see the full deck tech there soon. Yeah, that is pretty much it for Azalea Cult episode 21. I hope you've all enjoyed yourself. I've definitely enjoyed having Justin on, and it's been a fantastic experience just sort of learning from you, and getting all these hints and tips and tricks and all the sort of juicy details with regards to the matchups that you faced. And congratulations yet again for being the first person to do a premiere event with our Supreme Leader Azalea. I'll let you get on with the rest of your night. Thank you very much, and we'll see you to do it all over again very, very soon here on Go Again Gaming. Cheers.
Thank you for having me. Praise be.
Praise be. Yeah,
Praise be.
boy. Lovely old job.